Warpstone is a very tasty crystal the Skaven revere. It's quite literally the bedrock of all their power. These sickly green rocks can come in many shapes and shades, from the raw stones embedded in abominations or cut into nasty looking spears to stab with. Hello, and in this video we'll be painting 3 different types of warpstone. A vivid bright tone, a rich dark stone, and one that has become faded. The paints we'll be using are on the screen now. Pause the video if you need a little bit more time. We also have a list of the additional equipment we need, but you can use any brushes that suit you better, and you can change the medium out with water instead. If you're new to painting or want to brush up on your skills, you can check out the Citadel Colour Painting Essentials playlist to learn all about paints and techniques. Seeing that we could be painting this detail on models already painted or that you are painting, I'll just undercoat my rat ogre here in Chaos Black. Then you get to see how strong these glowing rocks can be. But you could do these over any undercoat colours. So let's start off with a bright green tone on some of those stones. First off, we'll start with a couple of layers of Corax White using a medium layer brush. This is so we get a bright layer for the rest of our colours to show off how vivid they are. Just make sure each coat is dry before applying the next, so we get a smooth finish to our stones. You can even add some of this into any cracks and surrounding areas that may have glowing energy, just like the scars and the branding of the rat ogre. Next we'll apply Hexwraith Flame over the top of the white. I'll be using a medium layer brush for the stones and scars, but you could use something bigger or smaller depending on the size of warpstone you're painting. If you apply too much and you get unwanted pooling, just wipe off your brush on some paper towel and soak it away. Don't wash your brush though, as you risk adding water into the paint, and we don't want to dilute our pigment. Just one solid coat will be plenty, as it will make those recesses a vibrant green colour, leaving the tops and sharp edges really bright still. These first 2 steps are great for simple Skaven brandings too. Once that contrast is dry, we'll add a small highlight on the tops and edges of the stones. For this we'll be using Dawn Yellow and a small layer brush. We want to make sure our paint is thin and our brush is pointed, so just make sure you roll the brush on the palette. This will bring those bristles together. It also controls the amount of paint that we have too, so we don't just blob it on by accident. With just a few small highlights, our stones are picked out, looking rather eerie. Then to finish off this warpstone, we'll thin down 1 part Corandras Green with 1 part Contrast Medium, and apply it in the same way as the Hexwraith Flame. Just by thinning it down slightly, we are loosening the pigment in the paint, so it runs into the recesses easier, but we're still tinting the Dawn Yellow, so it blends all the rest of the green tones together. Once this thin coat is dry, if you want some darker recesses, just apply a little bit more in those dips on the stones. And that is our bright and sickly warpstone done. Now let's look at painting a dark, rich green tone. For that dark tone, we'll base coat our stone in Caliban Green and a medium layer brush. We'll also paint any scars and brandings too. Just like with our Corax White, we want some nice, smooth layers, so we don't get any lines or bumps into our paint. Once those coats are dry, we can start adding brighter parts to our stones. For our first lighter green, we'll use Warpstone Glow and a small layer brush, using 2 different techniques. By preparing our brush in the same way as the Dawn Yellow earlier, we can get some nice solid lines to our stones. Or you can add some roughness by dotting this colour in a line. But with either or both techniques, you are adding some vibrant tones already. Then we can make the scarring around the stone glow with some of the paint around it. Now we can add even more glow with Moot Green, by using the same techniques but in a smaller area towards the tops and the joining facets of the stone. I'm just going to add a little bit more into the scar area too, but it's up to you if you want to do this as well. Even at this point, the stone has really dark green recesses and bright edges where the light would catch, but let's add 1 more colour. Flash Gets Yellow will really make this rich dark green have that sickly unnatural tone. Just add the smallest amount to the tips on the joining facets of the stone. This will be really quick and easy, and will finish off this nasty looking warpstone. With that dark, rich warpstone finished, we'll look at a faded warpstone. That is the one that may be drained of its tasty chaotic powers, used or battered for too long. Let's use the hook blade for this. We'll be using the same steps and techniques as the dark stone, but with some different colours as the tone has a really big part to play when changing the power of the warpstone. That base coat of Incubi Darkness really gives a worn out and drained bluey green tone we need, looking a little colder this time. Then we can start adding some green colours with Lupercal Green for the chunky highlight, dotted along the edges. Then we can add some sickly tone highlights with Calabite Green and Warpstone Glow to finish. Then you end up with something dark, cold, but still quite sinister. And there you have it, 3 different and really sinister warpstone effects. Remember that these colours are not just great for the stones, but also for anything you want to be made or powered by warpstone. This could be anything from weapons, pipes, or even eyes if you want. For even more tutorials, tips and tricks, check out the videos on the Warhammer YouTube channel. Or head to your local Warhammer store where our amazing staff would be happy to help you. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video and we'll see you next time. Bye bye!